Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. In this video I'm going to show you the best settings to run on Warzone in-game, show you the best settings for performance, FPS and for vision as well. Specifically I'm running this on the Acer Nitro 5. I'll put the spec up in the screen so you guys can see exactly what I'm running. And I've actually done a separate video to show what settings to run the laptop itself at. I'll put that in the top as well so you guys can check that out. And I've done plenty of other videos on these Acer Nitro 5, so if you don't want to miss any of them, subscribe and like this video so you can catch up with all the latest videos I have coming out for this laptop. But enough of that, let's get straight into it and see what the best settings are to run. Alright guys, so once you've got Warzone loaded up, you want to head to the options section. There's two main things we're going to look at here, is this display and the quality. First thing we'll look at is the display. Display mode I have set to full screen. You can actually change this to borderless and extended view. You can even change it to windowed, but if you look down here at the VRAM usage, if you have it on window, it's actually less demanding on your PC or laptop. So you could try on Windows if you're struggling for performance, but for me full screen works fine. Obviously I'm using a separate monitor which is a 24-inch 165 Hz. This is my GPU. It's the 1650 GTX, which is a 4 gig graphics card. At the end of the day, this is a budget laptop, the Acer Nitro 5s, but for the money I think they are pretty good. Your screen refresh rate, you want to set this to whatever hertz your screen is. So if it's 144, 165, 120, you want it running at whatever your screen is. If you set it a lot higher than your hertz, say you've got a 60 hertz screen and you set it to 144, you might start to get screen tearing, you might have some issues there. So you really want that set at whatever hertz screen you are running. Coming down here, render resolution always set to 100. Dynamic resolution, I set that enabled just to try and maintain that refresh rate. And the target refresh rate here is the same as the monitor, 165 Hz. VSync I have enabled. It tries to basically match your frame rate to your monitor refresh rate, which is what we want as well. This will be smoother then, and hopefully you won't get any screen tearing or anything like that. For custom frame rate, I've set, so when you're sat in the lobby, instead of your GPU running overload trying to hit 165, I have it set to 30. So as you can see at the top, just in the loading lobby, it's 30 FPS, which gives your GPU a bit of a rest, which it does need during this game, because Warzone is a pretty hard game to run. Going up to this brightness, generally the settings on here, you want to run what Call of Duty recommend. I know Caldera is quite hard visibility wise, so I do see some people turn the brightness up to make it a little bit more easier to see, but for me personally I think that's the best. This display gamma I have it set as 2.2. The Nvidia highlights, I have this disabled. If you have it enabled, it basically is recording in the background and you can capture clips of what you're recording. But what this does is it can actually use more CPU and GPU usage because it's running in the background even though you're not using it. So if you don't need that, I would have that turned off. Right, and looking at the low latency, you want this as high as possible. You want as little latency as possible. If your latency is really high, you are kind of behind everyone else within the game, so you want that as low as possible. Right, quality. Field of view, if you're on a PC, you want it set to 120. The more you can see, the better. Camera movement, I have that set as default, 100%. When it comes to this sort of quality side of things here, this really does depend what you're running. If you're running the Acer Nitro 5 laptop like me, these laptops aren't the most powerful, so I do have them set at low. If you look down at the bottom of the VRAM usage here, if I have it set at normal, it's becoming overloaded, and high would just, I think it'd just implode. So I've set that to low. Texture filter low again, particle quality low. And basically, the reason I have these set low is so if I have these lower, then I can get a better frame rate. Like if I set the texture resolution to very low, you can see here at the bottom, it's a lot less demanding. But very low, the quality is pretty terrible. So I set it as low, and then I feel like I get a good balance between quality and frame rate. Moving down here, film strength, I have that set as 1. Anti-aliasing, I have that set as SMAAT2X. I couldn't really tell much difference between these other ones, so I just leave these here. Depth of view, this basically can blur things that are out of sight. So I have this disabled, and this motion blur, when you're moving really fast, you do not want your screen to blur. You want it as clear as possible. So it's best to have this disabled, because say you see someone at the corner of your eye, if you move quickly to them, your screen's going to blur, and you really do not want that. And it's the same with the weapon. You don't want this blurring. Say if you're aiming down your sights and it's blurring as you're moving, it's going to be harder and harder to try and hit the target, so you don't want that to be blurring either. Down to shadow and lighting, again set low. A lot of these I have disabled as I don't really need them. Obviously ray tracing, I can't have ray tracing because my laptop isn't powerful enough. I think it'd explode if I had this turned on. And the rest of these other things I have turned up as well. If you don't need it, just have it off. And that's about it, guys. That's pretty much what I run to get the best sort of FPS. Obviously, we know Warzone is a really difficult game to run. Usually in Warzone, I get between sort of 70 to 80 FPS, and in Rebirth, it is usually a bit more because the map is a lot smaller and a lot easier to run. But other than that, guys, that's what I run. I hope it's been of some help. So until next time, I shall see you in the next video.